Welcome back to The Last Word. We're discussing the Prime Minister and the press. Dipankar Gupta, can the PM change his image, or is the media unlikely to give him a fair chance to do so?
Well, I think the media has been particularly bothered about his inability to control his own people in Parliament and to take a decision. What the people don't like is an indecisive person. But they're not really, I think I agree with Vinod Mehta's first position against his second. I'm not quite sure if there is a groundswell of opposition to Prime Minister or to any party for that matter because of corruption. Because in India I find that people like a doer. And what hasn't gone down very well with the people, I think, which the media is to a sense capitalizing upon, is the Prime Minister is coming out as a non-doer. And should the Prime Minister come out as a doer, I don't think corruption will be a big thing. Remember, from the time of Nehru onwards, Caron, Krishnamachari, Mundra, so there were so many.
So you're saying that if the Prime Minister can become a doer, the media will give him a fair chance?
Not only media, even the people.
Nalini Singh, the problem is that on TV, the Prime Minister very rarely comes across at his best. Is that the Prime Minister's fault, or is that a problem with television?
I think it's a problem with television. What happens is that television wants people who have not tamed their passions. And age, if I may say very respectfully, which is that respect is baked into the collective Indian soul, if I may say. So there is respect. Our Prime Minister has sort of, tamed his passions, but politicians also do that as survivors. And therefore, I would, Karan, I must say this, that the media, regardless of our deferential and reverential attitude to Prime Minister, to age, etc., we've got to be like the lictor. You remember in the chariots of the Roman Caesar, this lictor with his rods and axes used to be here and whisper into the ear, "You are not a god, you are not a god." So the media has to be that.
But you're saying something else. You began by saying that this is a problem with television. It's not the PM's fault.
But the media should not shy away. If you're in the media, you've got to keep saying you're not a god.
Chandan Mitra, is print kinder to the Prime Minister than television?
On the contrary, I think television has been extremely kind to the Prime Minister, and over these 6.5, almost 7 years, very rarely has the Prime Minister been taken to task in the television media. In the print.
Let me rephrase. I didn't mean to say our television journalists in the questions that they ask kinder vis-a-vis print. What I meant was, as a medium, is TV more unkind because it exposes his alleged weakness, his indecision, his softness, and the fact that he comes across as not assertive? Is that the sense in which TV is more unkind, print more kind?
Well, yeah, to an extent you are right, but then you see, this is something which the Prime Minister should had to be ready for, because we have live telecast of Parliament, and we've been having it for several, more than 2 decades now. So this is something the Prime Minister should have known.
In a TV age, you need a telegenic Prime Minister.
You need a telegenic Prime Minister, definitely, and he could have had enough time to become a little more assertive, combative, and stuff that TV loves, and in turn people love.
Vinod Mehta, the PM has been there for almost 7 years. It will be 7 years this year in May. Undoubtedly, a certain boredom, a certain ennui has set in. Can it be overcome by a man who's almost 79? He'll be 79 in September.
Well, Karan, there are 3 years left for the Prime Minister in his second term. And as you well know, a week is a long time in politics. The second thing to remember is that in May the Congress will get probably some good news from the 4 or 5 states that are going to polls. They'll get good news from West Bengal, they'll get perhaps good news from Assam, they'll get good news from Kerala, they will probably get good news from Tamil Nadu. So the winds of change might blow. 3 years is a long time.
Okay.
But you see, you talk of telegenic Prime Ministers. I don't think Mr. Vajpayee was the most telegenic of Prime Minister. In fact, Mr. Vajpayee was even shyer of television than Mr. Manmohan Singh is.
But the only thing is that Mr. Vajpayee wasn't...
Prime Ministers that we had who are comfortable with the medium.
But
it's your new age politicians like Arun Jaitley who are extremely comfortable and can exploit the medium.
Well, you're making a very clever point. The Prime Minister is not Arun Jaitley.
Not everything. There are other qualities that are necessary.
Let me end, Nalini Singh, by putting this to you. Does the PM have poor media advisors who don't know how to manage and enhance his image. For example, that interaction with TV editors was broadcast live at 11 o'clock, giving the opposition the whole day to attack it. Had they put it on at prime time at night, not only would it have had a bigger audience, but he'd have had a free run of the papers the next day.
You've actually answered the question yourself, Karan, and I agree with you. But I must say that our questions, barring a few, were so deferential. You know, that we were also, please turn the torchlight on ourselves. How were we? We were actually not wanting this great nation of 120 crore people to say that very morning 4.4 crore people had fallen below the poverty line. They were on starvation worldwide because of inflation in last 6 months. Did we ask him how many people have gone below
Actually,
the poverty
if I recall
line?
correctly, that question was asked by CNN. Not IBN sadly, but CNN rather than an Indian journalist.
Just a
I do
sentence,
not, I'm
Karan.
not. So I'm
If
saying,
the Prime Minister came out poorly, it was not because of the media that was present there. Prime Minister came out poorly by himself.
no, also because
Almost in a word, because we've only got 10 seconds left. Would you agree that television journalists did not acquit themselves so well, and if the PM came out poorly, it's because he's a poor performer? In 10 seconds.
Well, he was a poor performer because he chose the wrong kind of way of presenting himself. Instead of saying, I will do something, what he said was, you know, I can't do things which ought to be done because I am
I'll stop you
helpless.
there. In a sense, you're agreeing he needs better media managers to tell him how to present himself. My thanks to all three of my guests. My thanks also to Vinod Mehta for joining us. And if you have been, thanks for watching. This will have to be the last word for tonight's show, but see you next week. Good night.